Hi everybody, Leslie here. I'm going to make a birthday card for my grandma who will be 93 in about a week and a half. So yeah, I thought this rainbow stamp set that I just got from the works and was a bargain at £1.50 came with these 3 ink cubes. Absolute bargain. And the reason I'm going to use this for my 93-year-old grandmother's birthdays because I always have in my head I Can Sing a Rainbow, which was a Peggy Lee song from the 1950s when I think about her. So I thought this would be perfect. I don't get to see her very often because she lives 200 miles away from me. I'm hoping I might get to see her because I'm going to visit my parents. So I'm going to use this stamp set. And I was inspired by the colours that came with it. I'm not going to use the ink pads because I think they're pigment ink pads. I'm going to use my tried and trusty Catherine Pooler inks, but I picked out shades that were pretty similar to the ink pads that came with it because I was quite inspired by the picture on the packaging. I quite liked that idea, so I'm going to borrow their colourway and do something similar to what's on the packaging. I've also pulled out Time for Tea Designs Happy Birthday, and this is a hunky-dory rainbow, I think it's the holographic silver mirror card, so it looks silver in some lights and then you can see it does rainbows, so that was fitting with the rainbow theme. And I've got just a scrap of vellum so I can do the shadow die. I've got my card front panel that I'm going to stamp on already cut to size. It's just cut at the moment, might change my mind, but it's at the moment cut to exactly the same size as an A6 card blank, so we're going to stamp on that one. I've got the envelope because I'm going to stamp on that as we go along. And I picked this up at the same time for £1.50 in the works, and I said in my quick what did I get video that I might use the patterns out of it because look, they pretty much match the inks that were in there. So I'm going to do something with those as well. Haven't 100% decided what. I've got an idea, we'll see if it works. So that's just one of the sheets out of this paper pad. So let's get started. So let's do the stamping first, make sure my card's actually clean. And the biggest arch is the dotted one, and then the smallest is this little tiny one. So I think I'm going to start with the bigger one, if I can get it off the packaging. Just so. And a good tip with your acrylic stamps, if they do stretch or move when you pull them off the acetate, just sort of give them a wiggle, let them relax, and they should go back to more or less the same size. So I'm just going to wing it, go with the stamp block. I might just get a scrap of paper just to do a quick test stamp on, just to make sure everything's stamping nicely to start with. Like I say, I do like Catherine Pooler inks. They're great for solid image stamps. And for a £1.50 stamp set, that's pretty good on its first impression. I've not done anything to these stamps beforehand. Sometimes it pays to give it a rub with just, although it's not stuck to the block very well. This is just a clean microfiber cloth, just to get any manufacturing residue off there. Actually, my cloth wasn't clean. I've now got embossing powder all over my paper, which you probably can't see, but there's tiny little black marks everywhere. So that wasn't a clean cloth. I'll find a clean cloth. Let's try again. This one should be clean. So let's get another piece of scrap in. I will chuck that one away because we don't want dust all over everything we're doing. So let's just check that we're stamping nicely now. Pretty good. I missed some of the ink off the top there, but that's me. So let's go for it. Managed to get embossing powder everywhere. That wasn't the smartest move I've ever made when I'm trying to film a video. So lots of like tapping, embossing powder absolutely everywhere. And I'm going to go on the envelope first because I've got thousands of envelopes, so if I mess up, all is not lost. And I'm just going to go roughly for the middle, and then if I don't cut this out or anything, and I'm happy with the position, yeah, happy with that. Give it a quick clean. On to the next stamp. Yeah, so that one was polished. This one's aquatine. So I think it's meant to build right up to these dots. Oh, just missed that tiny bit. Let's pop back in there. There we go, not too bad. Should perhaps have practiced on my scrap first. I'm just going to turn it so I can see the dots a little bit better. And these colours will fade slightly as they dry. So the next two are both solid. I think we're going to go with the Tiki Torch on this one. So this is Tiki Torch. In the middle. There we go. It's those all stamped. And I think I like the idea of having a couple of the stars as well. So decide where we're going to put those. I don't think I'll put those on the envelope, so let's pop it out of the way. And I think the stars need to be in the yellow. At least this big one does. So let's star up there. Oh, missed a point. It's not too bad. And yeah, I think just one big one and maybe a couple of little ones. Didn't manage to stamp that very straight, but never mind. I quite like it at a jaunty angle. I'm not good at straight lines. So I think that's our stamping finished. So let's pop all these out of the way. Now I thought probably to do the bottom of the card, just do maybe like a stripe that I can put my sentiment on top of. So I think I'm just going to chop, I don't know, let's find my trusty ruler and just do a quick estimate of what we think we need on the bottom edge. It's in inches, let's do roughly 3 inches from the bottom and do an inch of each one. So that makes life really easy. I can just chop an inch off each. And you can see as the colour's fading back, it's quite a nice tone. Now, what order should we have these in? I think I quite like the turquoise at the top and the yellow at the bottom. Yeah, let's go with that. And I used wet glue just because it gives you a little wiggle time if you want them all to butt up tight to each other. So, and it's actually a lot cheaper to use wet glue than it is any sort of tape or tape runner pens. So just flip it over, chop off the excess. So we've got our card panel, and then, okay, so what I thought I'd do is cut the words out of the lovely rainbow, and then I'm going to use, I think, some vellum for the shadow. So let's pop those to one side for a sec. Now I think to make my life easier, I think I'm going to pop some, actually no, yeah, I am. I'm going to pop some double-sided sticky on the back of this, just on a small piece of it, just so that when these come out they'll be like stickers, because then they'll be a lot easier to stick to the vellum without glue oozing out and getting everywhere. So this is just a piece of double-sided that I've obviously used before, so I only need enough on here to do these. Just check they cut through. Yep, they look cut like they've cut through as much as I need them to, because there's a sticky back on there. So we've got our vellum shadow layers, and we've got our now sticky backed beautiful shiny silver. And just let me find my favourite pokey tool. Hopefully these are just going to come out, yep, with the sticky on for them. Now I'm just going to eyeball and hope I get these in the right place. Just a tiny bit of the sticky in places, it's not quite that. I perhaps should have run it back through a second time. Should we do that? Yeah, let's stick. Let's drop it back in. I might regret this and recut it, we'll see. But it should just drop back in like a puzzle piece. No, still not got it. I might have to cut. Let's give it a wiggle. And let's just give it a little shim, I think. This it hasn't got the most pressure, it's only my little tiny baby die cut machine. I'm sure the die will go through. It's just how much pressure your machine's got. Yep, so quick tip, if you're trying to run it through with thick card and quite thick double-sided sticky back stuff, which is what this, they're quite thick sheets, maybe make sure you run it backwards and forwards just a couple of times just to make sure it's got through, and then maybe shim it as well. Pop this on the shadow layer, and hopefully this is where it'll save me a little bit of time, because it's really quick. Just pop it down and there's no glue oozing out anywhere. And I'm covered in bits. So have I lost the eye? Is it still in the die? No, I've lost the top off the eye with Tiddle. I've lost the sticky off the back of the bee somewhere. I think it's stuck to me. But that's what I do. You get to see me make mistakes. It doesn't always go perfectly as planned. But yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to stick those down so that each of them partly overlaps. So I think that looks quite nice across the joints. A little bit of wet glue. Don't need masses, it's not heavy, it's only a tiny piece of paper that you stick into a nice porous piece of paper. I'm just eyeballing where the middle is, about there. Just try and make sure your dots of glue stay behind the die cut so that it doesn't show through on the vellum. But it's handmade, so if it does, nobody's going to notice except you, and nobody's going to care even if they do notice. This is handmade card making. It's not mass producing Hallmark cards. I'm just going to pop something heavy on that for a minute to let it dry. This is just a mat from, it came in a set of 4, but they're really heavy terrazzo mats. I got it from TK Maxx, so that's all that is. It's just something heavy. You could use books, whatever you've got lying around, but these work really well for it. Do a made with love on this one. This one is a Hobbycraft stamp, if anybody wants to know. That's one from Hobbycraft, made with love. I think I'll find a happy birthday stamp off camera just to pop it inside, but I'll probably do it in, I think I'll do it in the polished ink. So imagine that I've stamped it. I haven't pulled one out yet. My tip, if you've already cut your panel like this is, to the size of your card, and you're sticking it, is always grab something, scoreboard, anything that you've got an edge that you can butt your card base up to. Make sure I've done it the right way up yet, so that you can butt the top 2 corners into it tight, like that, and drop it down onto it. And also make sure that your folded edge is one of the ones you've got butted in, because then if there's any overhang off this edge of either your card panel or your card itself, you can always just trim that edge so that it matches perfectly. Now I'm happy with that, and I'm hoping that when my grandma sees it, she'll remember Peggy Lee's "I Can Sing a Rainbow" that she used to sing to me when I was little. I think it had a bit of a revival in the 70s, probably. So yeah, she used to sing it to me. So there's my rainbow card for my grandma's 93rd birthday. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.